In this Loom, I will show you how to create a chart here in Google Sheets. So the first thing that I would do is locate the data that I want to use in my pivot table. The second thing that I would do is ensure that all of my data is formatted correctly, that it is in a place that I can easily find, that it includes all of the data that I want to represent in my chart. Once I'm happy with that, what I would do is highlight all of the data that I want to include in my chart. In this case, I would make sure that all of my data is together on the spreadsheet. What I mean by that is that there are no empty columns in between your sets of data, because this can mess up your chart. It can really throw your chart off. So I would really, really encourage you to make sure that all of your data is together. The second thing that I would do then when I'm highlighting my data is to exclude any totals. Any totals whatsoever, we definitely don't want them in our chart. It's going to really skew the data in the chart. So I would ensure that I don't highlight any totals. So I would just highlight this section of my pivot table. That's all I would highlight. So by clicking on the top left and dragging your mouse across, that's how you can highlight the data in your Google Sheet in order to create your chart. Now what I would do is I would go up here to insert once I've highlighted my data, and I would go to chart. Once I click on chart, then my chart would automatically appear, and I will just show you a few tips and tricks and show you the chart editor. So the chart editor is here on the right hand side of the screen, as you can see here. And in there are lots of options for you to choose from when you're editing and creating your chart. The first thing that I would do is make sure that the chart type is exactly how I want it, that it represents the data well, and that all of the data that I would want to see in my chart is easy to read, it's clear, it's labeled, all of those things. So in here in the chart editor, the setup is how you're going to actually change how your data appears, what data appears, and the data range can be edited in here also. So what I would do is, first of all, select the chart type that I want, which is in this case probably best to be a pie chart because of the data that I have. And second of all, what I would do is ensure that I have the correct label, which I do, because it is the ticker code that is my text data, and it is the ticker code that is my label. So I'm happy with that. Then what I would do is I would go down here to value and just ensure that the value that is represented in my chart is the value that I want to represent. So I have two sets of numerical data in my pivot table to choose from. I don't want to represent both sets of data in my chart. So as you can see here, the value is simply one set of data. I can go in there, I can change it if I need to by clicking this and clicking remove, or I can select the sum of live price, which is the data that's in there, and I can change that in there to amount in euro if I select that. So any data that you have highlighted will appear in the values section. Once I'm happy with that, I would go to customize, and this is where the fun starts. So in here, we have loads of options. So I would change the chart style. I would definitely change some things in here in the pie chart. I would change the pie slice. You can edit colors. You can edit distance from the center, all of that. I would 100% add chart titles, subtitles. If you have a bar chart or anything like that, then I would definitely add axis titles, which is the horizontal and the vertical lines that appear on a bar chart. I would add axis titles in there. I would also add a legend if it's necessary, and you can change everything in there. So that's what I would suggest that you do. Your setup is super important in terms of your data. The customize section is super important in terms of how your chart appears. And I would really, really highly suggest you get in there and change the style of your chart, because this is what's going to make your chart unique to your group. So that's what I would suggest in there. That's all on how to create your chart. Once you're happy with your chart, just go back over it and make sure that it represents your data and all of that. And that's how you create a chart in Google Sheets.